Today's shir is in memory of Rabbi David Asur, which is Mrs. Esther Cohen's father. It's the first yurtzeit, which is today, so the neshama should have an aliyah. Was everyone here last week? No. Okay, so give me, you guys ready? So give me, let's say, a 5 minute. Let's go over. Since it was anyways going over the Gemara from last week. No, we saved it. The camera. It was spliced into two. He's going to splice it together for me. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. So let's go over the Gemara, maybe a little quicker than we did last time, and then I want to perhaps spend a little bit of time on the Rishonim today, which we didn't really see at all last week. So we are starting, if you take a look at the two dots, Itmar, on Daf Yud Amud Aleph, third, way down. Okay, Itmar. Hashochet b'sakim v'nimses peguma. Actually, what I'll do is I'm going to try to interject with a few of the Rishonim. While I go through it again. So the Gemara again. What does Itmar mean? You see Itmar in the Gemara. What is it? What do you have to perk up, pay attention to? There's going to be a Marek dispute. Good. Hashochet b'sakim v'nimses peguma. So you take a knife and you discover that it is peguma. Okay. When do you discover that it's peguma? After what? After shchita. Okay, so you've done shchita. Now, did you check the knife before shchita? So everyone agrees that Kula Alma, all the Rishonim say that Kula Alma, everyone says you have to check the knife before. If you don't check the knife before, then it's no good.
The knife before is not even a question.
Right, that was already, we said that earlier, that it's no good to check the knife before. That being said, there is the Rosh actually argues that let's say you have a special knife that's only used for shchita. I know that sounds foreign to us, but that's what everyone has. But let's say you do have a knife it's only for shchita, and not only that, but you put it in a special case. You put it away. It's always protected. It's always it is. So says the Rosh, there's a Chazaka that is actually good, meaning because presumably what you do, you used it 3 days ago. Let's say you checked it also, you put it away. I mean, there's no reason why you would assume that it got peguma. So he says, he says you wouldn't have to recheck, or b'diavad, if you didn't check it before you did shechita, maybe you could on the chazaka that a couple of days ago was okay. Again, assuming you didn't use it for anything else. And now, again, so why can't you check it now? So let's say that knife then disappears. Let's say you lose your knife. So the Rosh wants to argue that if you lose your knife, so take a look at this language. Actually, take a look at the language of the Gemara. This is what I was trying to figure out here. Hashochet b'sakin v'nimses peguma. It appears in the language of the Gemara that in order for you to say that it's problematic, what must you discover in the knife? That the knife was peguma. What happens if you lose the knife? Right? So you do shchita. You're going to go check on your knife. Like, oh my goodness, where'd it go? Can't find it anywhere. Here's what's interesting. I check my knife before shechita. I thought, is that the same or different? Is that in the hierarchically, I don't know that word, hierarchy, what's worse? To lose your knife or to find a knife that's peguma? But why? Because there's a nick in it. There's a reyusa. So when we have here machlokas over finding a knife that's peguma, if you lose the knife without a reyusa, so I mean you didn't check to see if it's peguma, you didn't check it at all.
How often do you find a nick in your knife? Probably not that often.
Probably not that often. True, but if you didn't find anything, right? You just checked the knife before shchita, you shecht, and now you lose your knife. Is that better or worse than finding a peguma? So you guys want to argue that it is better. And what's the rationale behind it? Because you
know for sure.
You don't know for sure.
You don't know.
That which is better. To find the peguma, you know it's not good. But you know for sure it's not good. So that's why most of the Rishonim say better to lose your knife than find it pagum. Right? That's kind of how most Rishonim want to understand it. Anyways, and based on this language, a venim says, I mean, you have to actively find it peguma, right? And what happens if it's nevda? So if it's nevda, most Rishonim hold that it's nevda, it's more room to be meko. Meaning, as we'll see right now, in Rav Huna says you have to be machmir, and you have to say that it's no good. Maybe Rav Huna will hold by Nevda that it's okay. Why? Because the Gemara's language is nimtzeis peguma. You have to actively find the reusa, you have to actively find it deficient in order to perhaps lead to this machlokas amoraim. But maybe Rav Huna would hold that if you lose it, that would be okay. That's based on being very sensitive to the text itself. It's good. I think this far makes sense based on the language. Okay, let's go on. So, Amar Rav Huna, filu shiber ba'atzamas kol yom. So Rav Huna says, even if you take this knife and you're hacking up bones all day long, psula, chayshinan shema ba'or nifkama. Then what are you worried? That when you shechted the neck of the animal, you hit the hide of the animal, maybe that's what caused the nick in your knife. And therefore, when you finished the shchita, you might have hit the bone at the end, you might have hit the etzim at the end, or you might have been smashing bones in the afternoon. Who's to say that when you did the shchita, the knife was actually good? Maybe maybe the skin, maybe the neck causes the damage before you actually finish your shchita, and therefore that's what caused the neck. You might have been smashing bones. Doesn't matter. You cannot tell me with certainty that that's what caused it.
Check after you do it before you smash the bone.
What was that?
You should check it after you do it before you smash the bone.
Right, so obviously we're talking about a case where you didn't check, right? That's why after shit you gotta check your knife. So, however, Rav Chizda says, Shera, why? Shema betzem nifkama. No, why does he say, why did Rav Chizda argue? Because when you did your shchita, at the end of your shchita, you hit the bone in the animal, and that's what maybe caused the nick in the knife. Okay. Machalkas Rav Huna, Rav Chizda. So here's the question. This is what we touched on this a little bit last week. What are the odds of it becoming pagum with a bone or the or? 50-50, 51, 1 in a million. Like, what are the...
It's probably a lot higher for the bone.
90-10.
Okay, so it's very important. We have to say that it's much more likely that the bone caused the nick. But what about, is it like a 1 in a million for the or? Is it like miyut to miyut to miyut? Or is there some statistical probability? Like worse odds than the Powerball or better than the Powerball? 1 in 192 million, or 200, whatever it is?
Probably better odds.
Yeah, probably better odds than the Powerball. Right, okay, fine. Is it like a huge unlikely? Is it like a major suffix? Like 1 in... So you can't say that it's like 1 in a million. You know what I mean? I think that would be something which...
Then it wouldn't make sense to be choshesh.
They wouldn't have for choshesh, right? It has to be something that's considered, and this is actually very important, not for now, but what are the odds? Like, you know what I mean? If it's so far-fetched, then we don't even count that halachically as being a problem. Unless it's a sakana. By sakana, as we saw before, what are the odds of, or neck, right? The neck of nakav, what are the odds? It's pretty rare. So.
I also don't think that's a sakana.
No, it's not sakana. No, this is a spiritual sakana. Right. Look, you could argue that. What's the difference? God created you with a soul and a body. There's a physical sakana, and there's a spiritual sakana. You wouldn't necessarily think there's a difference.
We have a lot of cases.
As a Chiddush the last morning we did.
We have a lot of cases otherwise, though.
But no, so again, the Havamina is to say that there's no difference between a spiritual sakana and a physical sakana. The maskana is no. God in His Torah, who created the concept of spiritual sakana, say, don't be as machmir for spiritual sakana. Right? That's what we say, sakana chamura mi'isura. Be more strict by sakana than by something which is asur. But there's Havamina to say not that way. What's the difference? Spiritual sakana and physical sakana. No. The Chazal said, when God made His Torah, He did it under the understanding of spiritual sakana, you could be more lenient. Okay, back to our Gemara. Bishalom. Rav Huna Kishmaite. I understand Rav Huna because that's what we learned before. Going back to Daf Tes, what does he say? There's Omed Behema Cheskata. What's the Chazaka of the Behema? Chazaka of the Behema is that what? No, Chazaka of the Behema is no good. Right? Go look at here. Go to Rashi. Rashi says this. Be'etzem nifkama. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8th line in the longer Rashi. So after that narrow column, there's the 8th line of Rashi. Be'etzem nifkama. Oops, sorry. I mean that line. Sorry. Boso shishibra, right? That's right. Kishmaite the Amar la'ayo, right? That we saw before. Becheskat isur medet. It's a cheskat of isur. So again, for Rashi, it's the isur of every minachai. Good. Until I can ascertain how it was shechted. V'zo nolad basafek b'shchita. And I don't know if I have now the safek in my shchita. So according to Rav Huna, what do I go according to if I have safek in my shchita? My chazaka. What's my chazaka? Every minachai. That's awesome. That's Rav Huna that we saw that before. So I understand. So Gemara says, Rav Huna, no problem. That's what I understand his limud. But what's the problem is going to be with where does Rav Chisda get? What's the rationale for Rav Chisda? Back to our Gemara. Rav Chisda, my timer. So here we go. What's Rav Chisda's answer? Amar lacha etzem vaday pogim or safek pogim. Safek. Sorry, Amar lacha etzem vaday pogim or safek pogim, safek lo pogim. Have a safek vaday, v'in safek motzi midei vaday. So we see here, Rav Chisda is very simple. We have two options. How in the world did this nick happen on the knife? Two options. Or etzem. If I was a betting man, I would say the following. Much more likely that, and this is important, not a little more likely, not the odds are a little bit better, but we're saying that the odds are drastically better. I gotta know what the number is, right? But it's much more likely that a bone causes a nick in a knife than ore. Not that the ore can't, not that the ore has never done it, but the hide.
That's not usually what, like, Suffolk.
Right, okay, so very good. So we spoke about last week that usually it's not the language of Suffolk and Vadai, which is why this is different. All the Achronim in all say this is different. This is different than your classic Suffolk and Vadai, which is why in any Tosfot or something that quotes Suffolk and Vadai, no one ever brings this. This is a different Suffolk and Vadai. This is more odds. Right? This is statistically likely, less likely statistically. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, good to point that out. And therefore, what are the odds? If I have to choose between the odds that it was the bone, is far more likely than the hide, far more likely than the skin. Says Rav Chisda. Therefore, I'm going to put my hedge, my bet on the bone. Okay, let's go on. So what are you talking about? So again, we pointed out last week. Very strange language. Why is Rav saying there's a question that's going to be a proof for Rav Huna? Just say there's a attack question Rav Chisda. The answer is because this. What did we say last week? We saw in the Chassam Sofer said what? What did we say last week? That why is this also an attack on Rav Huna? Because what did we say last week? What did we say last week? We had a good shot last week in the Gemara. Question, did I write it down?
I think they were trying to equate that there was already an argument that he didn't have to provide one for that. Something along those lines.
We said something. There's also a bit of a small question of Rav Huna. I don't know what it was. What did we say?
I think he was arguing that Rav Huna's argument was redundant.
Very good. It's a question on Rav Huna because it's pshita that. Oh, that's right. Very good. What's a very good? Excellent. What's a chidush ledina? That's what we said last week. There's no chidush ledina. What do you mean? We know, Rav Huna, that what you said is true based on what you said. Not the. Oh, right. Very good. That we, based on this case that we're about to bring up, what's your chidush ledin? We know already that. Nimtza v'tava. Oh, very good. That if you find ireyusa by the mikvah, that is no good. If that's the case, what's your chidush l'din? Okay, and why is it that Rav Huna might not have a chidush l'halacha? If he has no chidush, then why say it at all? I.e., this brisa that we're about to quote, if we accept it at face value, then Rav Huna's statement of Hashorah B'Sak of Nises Peguma, there's no Chiddush L'Din. Oh, that's what we said last week. That's what we saw that. I think I saw that in the Chassam Sofer. Okay, so why is it? What is this brisa, which ultimately is an attack on Rav Chisda? So here we go. Taval v'ala v'nimsal davar chotzeis. A person who goes to the mikvah and he finds on themselves something which is a chatzitza, afal pi shenis asik b'oso min kol hayom, even if the rest of the day he's doing what that means. So again, let's talk about clay. Guy goes to the mikvah, then after he goes to the mikvah, he's dealing with pottery. And what does he find on himself? He finds pottery. He finds a clay. Lo tefillah. The tefillah that he did does not count unless unless he can say definitively, I'm 100% certain that before I went to this mikvah, I did not have any clay on me. I'm positive. Only in such a case would he be okay. But if he can't make such a statement, the tefillah is no good. Now, the Gemara, why is this a question of Rav Chisda? V'hahacha devadei tava safek havel safek lavele v'kani safek mozi midei vadai. And what I don't understand here, just like in our shechting case, he plays with clay all day long, and we don't say maybe the clay that he used at 4 in the afternoon. That's why he has clay on himself. He went to the mikveh at noon. But he's been dealing with pottery. He's dealing with clay the entire afternoon. We don't say maybe the clay was on him at 11 in the morning, unless you can say Vada it wasn't there. So too, Rav Chiz has a question on you, because you were smashing bones the whole afternoon, and we don't say, what? The pottery maybe was done earlier, the clay was earlier. We don't say maybe the knife was dented because of hitting the bone from earlier. And this is a question on Rav Chizda. Yeah, Ezra. Okay, fine. Yeah. Toba said he has a lot of work today, and BJ said he has bar mitzvah stuff. His family's in town. Okay. Okay. So far so good. Now, what I want to do is I want to take this opportunity. We spoke a little bit about Hilchos Mikvah. As worthwhile talking a little about the laws of the Mikvah, because Tosfot here is a very interesting question. So just to repeat what we said last week, there are different types of things that cause a chatzitza. Right? You have what's called ruba or makbid. If you have something on your body, majority of your body is covered in a substance. Let's say clay, right? People are not going to walk outside covered in rov gufo and clay. So it's rubo. You're makbid, i.e. you don't go out like this. This is a chatzitza. This is a barrier to the mikvah, mina Torah. If it's either or, if it's rubo or makbid, meaning if the majority of your body is covered in something, but you're not makbid. Let's say you're wearing tight clothing, right? Scuba diving suit. It's rubo. Maybe not makbid. Maybe you like to walk around like this. That's also chotetz midirabanan. Or if it's makbid, so not rubo, makbid, i.e. you have clay on, let's say, your arm. So it's not rov, but who walks around in public with clay on their arm? That would also be considered midirabanan. What about its miut she'eno makbid? What about if it's a small little bit, like a little bit of clay, a little bit of dirt? So it's miut. The guy, it's not makbid on it. He doesn't care. He's not such a finicky type of person. So miikaradin minatorah to rabbanan, it's okay. Minhag, we're machmir from minhagim, potentially to go back. Now, all that really is that's the 3 levels, 3 different types of levels. One other thing I want to talk about in order to appreciate this Tosfos, we have to do one other halacha about tefillah, and that is what's called Beis Starim. I think we said this last week too. Beis Starim mean place that's enclosed, that water doesn't need to get there, but it has to have an ability to get there, meaning you can't have a chatzitza there. So, for example, your mouth is Beis Starim. You do not need to open your mouth in the mikvah, which has advantages. But it has to be ra'oi to, meaning you can't have food stuck in your teeth, because that's a chatzitza. So it has to be ra'oi l'bias mayim. That's the halacha. Also, if you have, let's say, skin that's folded, right? So you don't need to unfold your skin. You just need to make sure you don't have anything in that skin that would be a chatzitza. Okay? But you don't need to. This is also true with your ears, and right, all the things are called Beis Starim. So it has to be called ra'oi l'bias mayim. But you don't actually need water to go in. This is You appreciate this God willing much more when you're married and when you go to the mikvah. Okay, but now with it, let's take a look at Tosfos' question. We did not do this last week. Ad Shemer Barili. So here we go. What's Tosfos' question? So again, remember, we're talking about a case by the mikvah. Well, what does the guy need to say? The guy needs to say, I am 100% certain that this clay was not on me before. And if he can't say that, lo also lo tefillah. The tefillah is not good. Ask Tosfos, I don't understand. Hacha lo maflig ben tavel samuch lechafifa lo tavel samuch lechafifa. Tosfos asks a question. He says, wait a second. There's a halacha that says we make a distinction when it comes to tefillah. If you do a chafifa is a scrubbing. We have a halacha that says the following: if a guy does a chafifa, scrubbing, before the mikvah, and then he finds something, then a person finds something on their body afterwards, we say, what do you mean? The guy did a chafifa, it must have, when did this clay come onto him? After the mikvah. The guy did a chafifa. Right? And the Gemara makes a distinction. If the guy did a chafifa, not samuch l'tefillah, the guy did it, let's say for example, the person did the chafifa at 11 in the morning. When did he get to the mikvah? 5 in the afternoon. Okay, 6 hours later. In 6 hours, clay could come on you. But if you do the chafifa samuch l'tefillah, then I understand what's the problem. So here we go. Because the Gemara Nida makes that distinction. Is that, again, you do a chafifa, that's why, by the way, for women, that's why we encourage women to do the chafifa right before they go to the mikvah. This way, there's a saveg, you could say, you did a chafifa, there's no reason why this occurred before. The Amar Rava, Tavla v'alsa, v'nim ses aleh davar chotzes, im samach l'chafifa, Tavla, ein et tzricha lachuf, litbo. V'im lav, then you'd have to. So, how come our Gemara doesn't say very simple? Our Gemara should have answered the following. Our Gemara should have said, what do you mean? We're worried that you're dealing with clay all day long. Just say, very simple. If it's close to, if the chafifa just happened before tefillah, then the person is tahor. If the person did the chafifa earlier, the person's tameh. So that's what bothers. So Tosfos is very bothered by it. He says, I don't understand. How come we have to ask? Oh, do you deal with clay after, clay before? No good. No good. Lo also lo tefillah. What do you mean lo also lo tefillah? Ask him the question. When did you do your chafifa? Ask the guy. When was your chafifa? Why instead the Gemara seems to omit the whole asking the question of chafifa? So the Tosfos gives a number of different answers. So Tosfos is bothered. How come the Gemara doesn't say, ask the guy? What do you mean? The lo also lo tefillah. The guy finds something on his body, even though he was dealing with clay the entire afternoon, unless he can say for sure there was no clay before, the tefillah is no good. What are you talking about? Just ask him, when was your chafifa? Was it done at 4:30? Was it done at 11 in the morning? So why does so how come the Brisa doesn't say, excuse me, when was your chaviva? And instead the Gemara, no, again, so the Gemara asked barley that it wasn't there. So instead of saying barley wasn't there, just say when was your chaviva? So you want to say that barley means that was your chaviva? Means so the only way barley means, I tell you barley, I did a chaviva. It wasn't there. Barili means chafifa. Tosfos not learning that way. Question is, why not? I like to me what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense. What's barley? Barley. Why instead? So I'll tell you what's bothering the Tosfos maybe. Why is our Brisa introducing a new language? Use a language that we're familiar with. What's the language you're familiar with? Right? Why are you phrasing it that I'm positive barley? Don't say barley. Say what was your chaviva? I think that's stick to the same language. Okay, so a number of different answers are given. One, Vomer Rabbeinu Tam. Dehacha Mayre Benimsa Baguf. Vahasa Mayre Benimsa Barosh. The first answer that's given is that really, and you'll see, a chafifa really is only on the head. When the Gemara talks, the Gemara Nida talks about a chafifa, really it's talking about only the head. Chafifa taguf is not really what chafifa meant. And Tosaf brings 3 proofs from the Gemara Nida that when you ask about a chafifa, it talks about, did you really scrub your hair? Did you comb your hair? Did you clean your hair? Right, that's what it's about. Chafifa really means the hair. Oh, and therefore, where is our clay being found? Our clay is on the body. And therefore, the chafifa really means hair. So therefore, the Gemara couldn't say, our Brisa couldn't say, oh, do you chafifa? Because this chafifa really means only hair. That's the first answer, and he brings a number of proofs for it. The chafifa lo siken Ezra ela barosh, and he tries to prove it from Baba Kama, which I'm not interested necessarily in his proof. Tries to prove that also from the Gemara Nida. Those are his proofs that chafifa only refers to the head. Skip down to his second answer.
To do work, because he doesn't want to pay for shifra. Okay.
And he tries to by basis starim. Don't worry about that. Okay. Okay. Go down to V'odar Mu Rabbeinu Tam. You see where it says in Tosfos Nida Daf Samar Ches Amud Aleph? It's 4 lines underneath it. 1, 2, 3. It says V'odar Mu Rabbeinu Tam. That's the second answer. V'odar Mu Rabbeinu Tam. Okay. Second answer. Tahacha Mayre Litaharos. Ubeni Daire Labala Shichmila Taharos Yosir Milabala. Kamoshamash Benedina Bakama Makamos. His second answer is what his second answer. Whoa, time out. When do we talk about, when was your chafifa done? Was your chafifa done samuch l'tefillah? Was your chafifa done not samuch l'tefillah? Was your chafifa done at 4:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning? When do we ask that question? That question is only found in the Gemara Nida. And Gemara Nida is only talking about one case. You know what that one case is? L'tahar l'bayla, for husband and wife. But our Gemara here, who says we're talking about husband and wife? What's our Gemara talking about here? Maybe it's talking about Taharos. Maybe it's a man in order to be able to eat Truma. Maybe it's a kohen talking about eating Truma. So, meaning it's a, you hear this? And this we'll see. You see this. This is a halacha found everywhere. When it comes to isha l'bayla, we're more lenient. But when it comes to eating bitahara, let's say eating kochim or eating taharos, we will be much more machmir. So therefore,
Barley is more stringent.
Yes, barley is more stringent than when did you
It says like,
have your chaviva before?
I did chaviva right before I went to the mikvah.
Oh.
Well, do you still know 100%?
Very good, exactly. So if a guy says barley, if a person says I'm positive, that's okay. But if a guy can't say I'm positive, then in such a situation, hi.
What time?
We done in here?
Yeah.
15 minutes?
In 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He showed me a manuscript where you can actually see the text.
What was I just saying? I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yes, but Ezra, I think you're 100% right. That when Ezra is saying, is that why, and to me, by the way, this is a very good shot in the Gemara. Why? Because generally speaking, you can't ask a person when to do chafifa, because that's only a kula by a nida. But we're talking about a nida here. So therefore, in a regular case, going to the mikvah, until you can say, but really, I'm 100% positive. Not that I just did my chafifa right before the mikvah. I'm 100% positive. I did a chafifa, I checked my body, I know exactly what I had everywhere, and therefore I'm 100% certain this clay was from later. Only in such a case, also lo tefillah. Otherwise, enachinami, lo also lo tefillah, you have to do it again. Because there's a difference in taharos and by l'tahir and isha l'bayla. Okay? Next, the third case that Tosfot answers is V'od yesh lahamid hach d'shma'itin bekohanim de'ein behem chafifa mishum tovlim tamid masher b'sham. Fine. So the third answer says no. Apparently, kohanim never did chafifa. I guess they were just always jumping into the mikvahs. So it was like, it's like, what's the point? We don't need to do it. The third answer he gives is that, to be honest, I don't really need to do chafifa because I'm going to the mikvah every so often. I'm not going to bother checking, and therefore it's a situation where all he could say is barely or not barely, and therefore chafifa wouldn't even be an applicable question to ask because kohanim don't do chafifas. Okay, that's the third answer. Okay, fine, good. I thought it was a good tosos there, worthwhile talking about. And therefore, we're not talking about chafifa because we're talking about kohanim. Now, here's another question that was bothering me. How come we don't just say the following? What did I just tell you guys? What's the case if it's a miyut that you're makbid on? Miyut shemakbid. What's a halacha on miyut? First of all, deraisa or derabanan? Derabanan. Why don't we use the following principle? Safek, derabanan, lakula. Do you follow? How come we don't say that? This is a very important question. How come we don't say safek, derabanan, lakula? I don't understand. A guy's not sure. If the guy's sure, I had this clay beforehand, no safek, I get it. But how come we don't use the principle of safek, derabanan, lakula? It's miyut. Fine, miyut shemakbi, that's fine. But why don't we say safek? I don't know, did it happen? Lakula.
Suffix would be like, this is more than a suffix, because a suffix is like, he went in and out of the mikvah, and you don't know whether or not there was dirt on him. Now you know there's dirt on him, you just don't know.
So I know there's dirt on him, for sure there's dirt on him. But remember, he's playing with clay, he's engaged in clay, he's a potter, after. So all of a sudden, at 7 o'clock, he looks at his arm, he says, oh my goodness, I have clay here. Right. But was that clay there at 11 in the morning? I'm not sure. It might have been there at 11 in the morning. Go again, lo also lo tefillah. Why don't we say, wait a second, safek, derabanan, we don't say that. Lo, also lo tefillah. Tefillah is no good. So again, we have a safek, we have a vadai. In safek, okay. So why don't we, okay, so if that's true, then they say that's a clay. We say that by the knife. So this to me is a very, very, very important question. Let's finish the Gemara, just because we'll get to because Ezra didn't get there yet, and I want to come back to this question, because to me this is a very important question. How come we don't say Satan? Because I'll tell you why this is so important. Some people throw out Rove. Go with Rove. Oh, we have what's called Rabbanan Lakula. When do we employ such terminology? Right? Because if I was a betting man, I'd say, Durabanan, Safek, Kula, game over. We see it's not true. So sometimes we have these terminologies, these halachic concepts, how to sometimes be able to distinguish, but when do we use them and don't we use them? I think this is going to be an important in terms of from principle perspective. But before we get there, I hope we'll get there today, we might not. But let's just finish this up. Okay, so the Gemara then says, wait a second. So this, and just to remember our train of thought, we are attacking Rav Chizda. How can Rav Chizda say that it was the bone? After all, we see here, we don't say that it's the clay, and we say that maybe the guy really had clay on him earlier. Maybe really this knife was originally had a dent in it. It was already pogam, and therefore the shchita was no good. After all, we say the tefillah was no good. Why is it that tefillah is no good? And Rav Chizda, you say the knife is good. That's a question on Rav Chizda. He says, no way, Shani Hasam. There's a difference. You guys remember what's the difference? Here we go. The ikala meimar hemet hamel cheskato ve'ema lo taval hechinami hemet behemel cheskata ve'emar lo nishchata. So the Gemara then says, wait a second. No, says Rav Chizda. He defends himself. How? Because let's go back to the Chazaka of the person who's Tameh. In fact, go back to the Chazaka person, the Chazaka is the guy is Tameh, therefore the guy is Tameh. So the Gemara says, what are you talking about? How can you say that? If I go back to the Chazaka of this animal, the animal's also no good. Hemed behemal cheskata. And maybe it wasn't shachted. So what does he answer? No, what are you talking about? I look at the case and I say, the animal's dead. Right? Unlike Rav Huna. Rav Chizah says, we're talking about, I have a shechita done here. What's a chazaka? That was shachted. Why should I assume otherwise? He says, no, hechinami, right? Tavel l'fanecha. Okay, but we say tavel l'fanecha, and we don't go and we say that the tefillah is no good. Same with the shechita. Ha islale be'reusa. What are you talking about? When it comes to the tefillah, there's a reusa. What's a reusa? I see clay. Hechinami islale be'reusa. What are we talking about? I also see a reusa. I see a problem when it comes to the sakin. There's a pegima. Sakin Isra'i behemelo Isra'i. Period. That's what we got to last week. No, here's the difference. The main difference is the sakin has a blemish. What's the difference? Because when it comes to the sakin having a blemish, that's very different than the person having a blemish. Meaning, I'm interested in the level of tahor or tameh of the person, and here I have the person himself have a reusa. I don't care. The fact that there's a knife that has the pekima, it doesn't matter. I'm interested in what's the status of the animal. I have no reusa in the animal. I have a reusa in something external. It might be connected to the shechita, but it's therefore, the Rav Chizah says that's the difference. When the reusa is in the animal, that'd be a problem. When the reusa is in the sakin, it's external. Our case, there's a reusa on the person, and therefore I'm questioning the entire process. By the way, Tosos will say, okay, what happens with the reusa in the mikvah? Right? Reusa in the mikvah is like a reusa in the sakin. No? Right? You hear that? Reusa in the mikvah. How would you have reusa in the mikvah? All of a sudden you measure the mikvah, and it's not 40 sa. Very good. That's another Tosos I think we should deal with. Right? So that would be equal. Equal playing field would be reusa in the mikvah, reusa in the knife. Right? We don't have that right now. We don't have an even playing field, which is why Rav Chizah could say what he says. Because why? There's a reusa in the person, reusa in the knife. That's not the same. But if you have a reusa in the mikvah and a reusa in the knife, okay, let's compare the two. And we have a problem, says Tosos. You know why? Because if you have reusa in the mikvah, says the Gemara, it's no good. If I measure and I say 39 sa'ah, the tefillah is no good. So Tosos is going to have to say what's the difference between the two. How come by mikvah it's no good, but a knife it is good? Okay, well, I don't know if we'll get there for now, but I want to go back to what I said earlier. How are we going to deal with, how come we don't say safek, the rabbanon, the kula, by our case of mikvah? Does anyone want to try and explain when might we say, how come we don't say safek, the rabbanon, the kula, in the case of mikvah? Is that the exception? Is there a rule? What does your gut tell you? Why don't we just implore the classic line of Safek to Rabbanan Lakula, and his mikvah should be totally fine. After all, it's a miyut. It's a miyut. Shemakpid. But so what? It's only the Rabbanan. Why don't we implore Safek to Rabbanan Lakula? Anyone want to take a stab at it? No? I want to take a stab? Take a chance? Guess? Did you hear a guess? You have to use her. Okay. So a few different answers that are given. I don't understand them all. One answer that I saw was, no, Safek was nolad on a doraisa. And when a Safek is nolad on a doraisa, we can't say Safek Rabbanan Lakula. Meaning, what's the doraisa? The doraisa is conceptually the same idea as like rubo or makpid. Rubo and makpid, so it's miyut to makpid. That's in this. We only employ. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Which rabbanans are not based off doraisas?
It's interesting. When you say Safek bracha lahakav, that appears to be a bracha thing.
Yeah.
There's different types of like mitzvot derabanan, right? There's mitzvot derabanan that are direct, you know. So I think there's a very important cloud. We only say Safek derabanan kula when we absolutely can't rectify the situation. Meaning, it's not like I say Sadr and the Kula. No, the opposite. I do whatever I can to rectify the situation.
There's a Rambam, yeah.
Here, that's not true.
Why?
Here, you ran out of ways to rectify this.
That's not true. Go back to the mikvah.
And now that's being machmir.
No. So I want to say it's not machmir. Meaning, since I can still send the guy to the mikvah. Okay.
That's what always make on machmir is you can either do something extra or you can be making and not do anything.
So, the Nod de Yehuda says in a klal in Safed Rabbanan Lakula, he says if there's a davar sheyesh lo matirin, if there's a way for me to rectify the situation, I'm always obligated to rectify the situation. Meaning, since there's a mikvah, if there's a way to rectify it, I'm obligated to rectify the situation. Go to the mikvah. Because there's a way to fix the scenario, I always need to find a way to fix it. We don't say suffix to Rabbanan Lakula in a way that I can't. Meaning, if it's something which I can undo it. What can I do? Send the guy's mikvah. I can't undo certain things because, meaning, let's say Hilchot Shabbos, right? When we say Hilchot Shabbos, oh wait a second, this is suffix. Safed Rabbanan. Do we say by Hilchot Shabbos Safed Rabbanan Lakula? Sometimes we say don't do it. Right? Oh, why do we say Safed Rabbanan Lakula? So there are those who want to say when you don't say Safed Rabbanan Lakula by Hilchot Shabbos if it's based on a Doraisa principle. Right? Like kosher, for example. It's just the Rabbanan. No. You're going to need, I'll give you an example. You don't have to make a Doraisa night on Shabbos. It has to be Ma'aseh Uman or it has to be permanent. Which one? We don't say, come on, it's only, maybe I have a knot that I'm making. It's not durable, it's not a Ma'aseh Uman, and therefore, it should be fine. No, we're still often going to be machmir in those scenarios. And the question is why? The question is very simple. At any time, and maybe this was originally what I was trying to say, was any time it's similar to a doraisa, we're not going to so readily dismiss it and say, Safed Rabbanan Lakula. Something which is based on a doraisa concept, we're going to appear as we're still going to be machmir on it. And that's the other example. Maybe there's no de Yehuda. He says davar sheyesh lo matirin. If I'm able to rectify it. Right? Others want to answer that no, this is not. Don't use this as a klal. This is very specific. Meaning, when Ezra made a takana of chafifa, it was why do you make a chafifa? It's built into the system of makom safek. Once we have a takana of Ezra to say that you have to do a chafifa here, you have to check, so we make you go back. Because that was part of the takana of Ezra. So I think what we see here, which is quite fascinating, which again, there's a lot more to explore here, I think. I don't know how much we're going to do on it, but to me, it's fascinating, is we see from here's a klal, that we don't just say Safed Rabbanan Lakula. What do we say? No, we usually do, but here we're not going to. Why aren't we going to here? We're not going to here because it's not part of Takana of Ezra. Ezra made a Takana, you always go back. You do Chafifa, you go to the mikvah. But what about a similar way? And therefore, you go back. It's not Safed Rabbanan Lakula. It's part of the Takana of Ezra, so you have to go back. Or do we say, no, what are you talking about? Safed Rabbanan Lakula doesn't even apply in this scenario. Forget about Takana of Ezra or not. Maybe there's Dvar Shlish Lo Matirin. Maybe it's because it's connected to a Doraisa, and therefore you, in fact, would have to go back and go to the mikvah again. It's an interesting idea. And just what about this Tosot over here about the mikvah, comparing the psul in the knife to a psul in the mikvah. Yet, and I'll just read you the question, the Gemara asks, the last Tosot there says what? Tema doleka lishmiha ahi b'mikvah shenimdad v'nimsa chaser. The Gemara beginning of Nida says, what happens if you measure the mikvah and it's chaser? All the taharos, the kamar hasam, the chol taharo shenasu al gabav l'mafrei kulan tameim. Why? Mishum de hachasu lefanecha v'hemit tamei al cheskato. V'lom rinan mikvah try adam lo try. So the Tosar asks the question, when it comes to the mikvah and we measure it 39 sa'ah, we don't say there We say all the taharos are no good. Why don't we say just like we did by the knife? Why don't we say no? A person, there's a reuse on the person versus reuse in the mikvah.
Well, what do you mean? You measured 39 sales, so you know for sure.
So I know for sure my knife is no good. I've begun my knife. Yet we said the animal is okay. According to Rav
You're
Chisda.
saying the suffix is that there could have been enough water in it when people started?
Yeah, maybe when you went in the mikvah 10 minutes ago, it wasn't water. Because I'm measuring it now, it doesn't mean 10 minutes ago. Maybe the opposite. The guy, when he walked out, took water with him. Right? Okay, so the question is going to be, because when it comes to the mikvah, so that's comparing it to the knife. Yet we say, according to Rav Chisda, that is, the knife is, the case of the knife is okay. Yet, you can't argue in the Gemara, which is black and white, which is in the mikvah, all the taharos are no good. Okay.